huge problem. Now, the Tyranitar effect is still coming into play. It just seems like all the teams don't want to deal with that sandy beast of a man.
I mean, slowing down, he gets to slow you down. There's some piercing damage through those Sandstorm as well.
Yeah.
Dark Pulse is a pretty heavy damaging attack. And not forgetting its Unite move could execute every single one that is within of range as well. Yeah. So they have to be really careful and therefore, maybe not wanting to deal with a Tyranitar. But a Masquerada ban for Aumento side, is that a target ban?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, when have we ever seen Masquerada recently, right? It just kind of feels like, I think Luminosity were the ones who brought it out on Overlord a few times with some flower trick double team shenanigans, but apart from that, it's like
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like a Pokemon that, relies on quite a bit of trickery and acrobatics to get the most out of the map, and, you already have Mimikyu for that. For now, this is a good start, though, for Vincere, and it's very promising because JT snags up that Mimikyu, and immediately those other two picks that Issen and Aumento have run with every single game so far snatched away.
Yep, I mean, we know that the Trevenant is really strong on mental side, but something interesting is Mew being picked up by Dreamt. Right?
Yeah.
Like, Mew being a really not the easiest Pokemon to pilot, I would say. So many options, so many micro decisions to be made as well. Could Dreamt pull this off?
Yeah, the thing about Mew is that it got nerfed, and that doesn't mean that it's bad.
Yeah.
The thing with Mew is that it exponentially increases in effectiveness with skill.
Yep. Definitely.
It's just a Pokemon with such a high skill ceiling, which is why we saw these Mews at the world stage pumping out 100k damage casually, just casually.
It's easy,
like
right?
no big deal.
Yeah.
But for you, if you try and pull out a Mew in your game, I'd be surprised if you even did 20.
No, I mean I'm at the
somehow you find a way.
Count, right?
Yeah, you somehow find a way to be locked on coaching the entire game and not be around a single ally.
That's just how things is if you pick Mew, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. It's unfortunate. But the thing with Mew, so Issen or Aumento opting for some Pokemon that recently have taken nerfs. Sure, smaller nerfs. I think in the professional community, people still value Mew, but it's not that just kind of very straightforward,
pick
no
and go
thoughts
kind of
empty.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
Right.
You can't just get away with blind picking it. But Sableye, baby, what are we doing? What are we doing? What's cooking, Vincere?
Looking at what is happening, right? You got the Crustle, you got the Dodrio, you got that Sableye. Is this the try? Are they trying out for a dunk composition right here? They are really strong dunkers. They are really fast. More information gathering with the Sableye as well. But this looks like our typical kind of like dunk comp lineup.
I think, look, if there's any way to tilt, if there's any way you're gonna tilt Aumento at the very start of this competition, it's gonna be something like this. I mean, every time you try to score Sableye, it's just right there. You just get a Crustle. I wonder what kind of build the Crustle is gonna go for as well, because most of the time, whenever we see Crustle, it's X is a Rock 2.
Yep.
No real question about it. But the Shell Smash and maybe even the Stealth Rock can kind of be very annoying, because if you're trying to score or pressure an area, or you try and take an objective, just toss a little Stealth Rock there.
Yeah.
Suddenly they can't traverse. It's very hard, especially for these sort of more squishy attackers on the side of Aumento to make it happen. Now, they have the Glaceon coming out in the central area, and Glaceon, despite the nerfs, is still very effective at shredding high HP targets. Here comes Sableye from first steal though, gonna try and nab this buff. Won't be successful in doing so. So already first thing on the checkbox, not really going his way.
I mean, that's just Sableye doing Sableye things, right? Like just invading your opponent's central area, just doing a little bit of disruption towards your opponent. Hopefully, just hopefully manage to just steal the buff away from them, just slowing down their levels. But even though it didn't, work out, it still does its thing, right? It's just slow them down a little bit on the whole process of it.
Yeah, for now, just having the X speed back out to save me, which is not really the best look. With Sableye, you're always trying to find single targets that just kind of are susceptible to being picked off.
Yep.
Maybe this information is going to net them a pick-off onto But he swiftly gets out
away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much information gathering as well. Yes, they know that the Sableye is around them, but they're unable to do anything about it.
Early eject button from the Glaceon just has to get out of dodge there. And again, the information coming into play. We've seen some Hoopas throughout today and even in Korea go for the Trick Phantom Force build, making use of that recent buff. but it's going to be the all reliable hyperspace hole.
Yeah, I mean, with the hyperspace hole, they could do quick rotations up and down bottom as well. You know, those quick objective, right? After getting one Reggie, you could just immediately portal back up to top and then just get the other Reggie as well. So there's so much flexibility in terms of mobility for the rest of the team. They have quick setup, they have early scaling as well. So with this Hoopa, they can get advantage and play the numbers game as fast as possible against their opponent.
Yeah, Issen Aumento kind of need to strike hard and fast with their lineup, it feels like, because a lot of their Pokemon are spiking a bit earlier, especially I'm looking at the Sylveon and the Dodrio. These are Pokemon that later on in the game might fall off. Right? You just don't have the same amount of damage output that a Glaceon or Mew can have. And that's why it's especially important to hang on to these tier 1 goal zones, because when you don't really have a dedicated frontliner other than the Umbreon, you want a nice little barrier between yourself and them. You can just poke from afar, stop the downs from coming through. Now they're trying to pressure the bot path.
Yeah, but there we have, you know, a big fight right there. 4v3 as the Sableye Eyes come into play. Unable to do much though for Aumento. They have no choice but to back off this one as well. But as the rest of the team just fall and just gather right there in the central area, immediately hyperspace portal bringing 2 Pokemon up top.
That's the big problem with the Sylveon, right? Every single time you see this Pokemon use the Hyper Voice, it's just, okay, do we really have enough to run into that? Beautiful body blocks from Jakarta are going to get taken down as a result. So sacrificing himself there, essentially, to save the Crustle. Not really sure whether it's worth it, because, again, there's just so much being gathered from Issen Aumento at the moment.
Wow, down goes the tier 1 for Vincere, unable to stop that Mew from scoring in time. As the Reggies spawn right here, immediately Aumento knows that no tier 1, they're focusing onto the Regieleki as well. And, you know, nothing that the Sableye could do.
Yeah, still trying to come through for the steal is that Umbreon, but equally unsuccessful. It'll just be an easy trade-off. But like you mentioned, from those hyperspace holes, it's just simple rotations, quick and painless. This is the most effective mode of transport you've seen in your life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best form taxi, I would say. Right, and there, you know, Crustle trying to push off the Regieleki with those, you know, those attacks, and Crustle able to, you know, push so much crowd control, X-Scissors, and, you know, able to do this to the Regieleki. What could he do in a team fight situation as well? He could control them and just clump them up together so much easier.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm worried about here is if we see a bit of a fight. Glacial stage committed, trying to get those ice crystals pumping through. Trevenant in big trouble, still able to turn around and Woodhammer though, keeping this goal zone intact. And the Hyper Voice just being so annoying. There comes the reinforcements in the Sableye, but the question is it enough? The Sylveon still needs to back up, and now the ice crystals coming through, Sableye is just going to go down. So again, Issen and Vincere are starting to run out of firepower into the resets. And you're talking about the Crustle, okay, sure, you can trap them, but if you just put a hyperspace hole where they're trapped, they're still going to be able to get themselves out.
Yep, definitely. And knowing that this is a down composition, right? Team fight is not their specialty, right? They're not exactly down and get the one-on-one or the 5v5 right there. They are all down into dunking, and looking at the scoreline right now, right? 169 into 11. Have they even started dunking?
The thing is they can't, right? Because anywhere you try and make a move, the Hoopa portal's right there to bring in defenders. And that's the whole game plan at the moment for Aumento. It's very straightforward. Whenever you see presence in the top half, hyperspace all up to the top. You can immediately see that probably coming through now. Glaceon coming to back up the Mimikyu. They will go down though. Glacial stage committed. And there's the portal. Here comes the reinforcement. Susur is going to come through, wipe down that poor Sableye. And just like that, again, Vincere just have to run.
Yeah, and we were saying like, right, how much damage that Mew could do to the rest of the team. Those Solar Blade literally stripped most of Vincere Pokemon down to about one quarter of the health. And, you know, that kind of damage you really have to dodge and don't want to walk straight right into his Solar Beam.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are two Pokemon that traditionally we would consider tanky, right? The Crustle as well as the Trevenant, but they are looking like minced meat. Popping the Hoopa Unite move down here, Susur might just go down, but you gotta imagine that the reinforcements are coming through, or just the best bluff of his life. Okay, Rings Unbound, just for no one to come through, but it does buy him a little bit of time. He's still gonna try and Hyperspace Fury, but the whole time, Carnage in the top half as Aumento taking a huge advantage.
Yeah, but here's the question, right? Is that Rings Unbound worth it? Right? It is a buff, it is a bluff, it kept that Hoopa alive, but, right, not the rest of Vincere actually came and engaged or tried to do a little bit more, you know, or try to prepare for a fight, and there's no objective involved, and now, you know, that Hoopa have to start gathering all his Unite percentage back as well. is it even worth it?
I would say yeah, because you know, still 2 KOs in the top half. They managed to take down the tier 2 goal zone. I mean, I can go on, Moonboy, but I think you know it balances out. At least in my books, I'm not an accountant, but I'm sure Aumento very happy with that situation. Now clinging on to this tier 1 goal zone are Vincere. Clean reset, can't horn leech in time. The Hoopa able to extract themselves. Can't imagine that they're coming back. Wow, very daring. Bring himself back into the fray. Probably going to go down on Suswa, not able to catch the reset this time. But the entire time, do you hear that sweet music? It's ice crystals freezing Vincere. This is a refrigerator or something. These guys are getting toasted.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that Glaceon is a late stage kind of like Pokemon, right? It is at level 13 already at a 3-minute mark. And, you know, knowing that the opponent is not exactly a team fight kind of composition and it's just snowballing at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, Sableye looking like every Sableye that I've seen ever. It was completely unsuccessful. Better off not picked. Nobody's happy with him. He's just generally not a very pleasant sight. Level 10, not really impacting the map. Wasn't able to get the early KOs in the central area when the Pokemon were weaker. Now, the Regieleki, at risk of going down to Issen Vincere, the secure is a bit too strong with the Hyper Voice, of course. But I don't, like, this is chill. Like, Aumento are fine. They're 250 points ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they are ahead in points, they're ahead in levels as well. Right, there's so many. They know that they have a stronger firepower going into the final stretch. So all they have to do is just make sure and ensure where are all the Vincere players are, right? So that they are not doing anything sneaky, dunking unnecessary points towards them as well. And if they could secure this last fight in the Legendary's pit, they can secure their victory for map number 1.
Yeah, high expectations here for this Issen Aumento lineup to have to try and take down their counterpart in this early stage. It's a bitter but necessary measure to move on. I'm sure they have very high hopes for themselves and they're starting out on the Ray pit. It's only the Trevenant showing. It's going to have to be a clean initiation with all the Unite moves ready.
Yeah, definitely. And take a look at the minimap on the top left corner. Dodrio sneakily moving up to the top side, but only holding so little points though. Yeah, it's 66 points into the basket, but they have to get that raid, they have to start going. If not, it's going to be too late. Another 28 by the Crustle.
They're starting to add things up here. They just need to keep picking up and finding an angle. For now, they've caught out the Sableye and the Crustle. Rumble Rouser in the middle, Triple Trample coming through, but it's only an Umbreon. Everyone from the side of Issen Aumento has escaped, and Glaceon starting to rain in the pain. Where are you going? Play with me, Lil Sylveon. I want you right by my side, and nowhere to run. All the Unite moves pop, and so are Vincere. They get exploded, and the only member remains is Crustle coming through. It's gonna have to be a Hero X Scissor, but he can't even find the angle. Stopped by the Umbreon. Goodbye and good night. Just a clean execution overall, and the surrender.
Wow.
Oh no, that is not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, is something crumbling inside, or is the game plan wrong for this matchup? Knowing that they can't pick a fight, they can't even do anything against Aumento throughout the whole 10 minutes. So
Rouser, okay, here comes the Phantom Forest, but they just couldn't link it up. The team members, they were way too split. I really got to know what the plan for Vincere was there, because I wasn't seeing it.
yeah, I mean, they have good damage, right, from the Dodrio if they ever needed to.
Look, look.
Yeah.
Look at the number. I don't know about good damage.
Yeah.
From who?
But
who is
overall,
doing this good damage? Is the good damage in the room with us right now?
it's the Sylveon, right? But overall, right, they were all scattered all apart, and every Pokemon is really squishy, right? Apart from the defender.
Yeah.
And if they just run into their opponent are usually higher level than them, at least 1 or 2 level above them, and they can't initiate anything. All they say, oh, there's an opponent, I have to back off. Oh, there's an opponent, I have to back off, right?
I think
Hyperspace Hole just covers every single tier 1 go zone as well, so they can't exactly get close to anything, and their objective can't run for their playbook.
Yeah, I'm not really sure whether you guys saw the battle report there, but it tells a very significant story, because you see the very, sure, it's not like Vincere didn't get any objectives. We'll see it in some of these replays as well. They got the objectives, but they never converted it into anything. They get an objective, there's no dunks, because immediately comes a swift response through the Hyperspace Hole again and again. And the Hyperspace Hole, like we mentioned, not just the transportation across the map, as we'll see here. Look, Rubble Rouser, but perfect dodge from JT to buy some time with the play rough. Sure, he does end up going down, but by the time the Hoopa comes through, so does the rest of the team, just get wiping out. And like you mentioned, the Solar Beam, so much damage from the Mew. In a game where Glaceon and Mew are just allowed to fire from afar, That's a dream come true.
Yeah, I think it boils down to the fact that, maybe Vincere was not as caught to bring it down, and I want to see more fights coming in for Vincere.
Yeah, that first match didn't really feel very interactive. I mean, Crustle is cool.
Yep. I mean, it's decent, right?
No, Crustle is cool, and people might even consider it a great defender. But I don't know what he was doing. Like, it just felt like
it's not doing much.
I'm looking at every single. I'm sure the observers feeling the same thing. Like, they're looking at every single member of Vincere. Like, okay, who am I even looking at? Because no one's doing anything, right? Like, there was never any concerted play. Oh, okay. Okay, I thought they were gonna leave it to me because we've seen some four-head teams decide to empty out the ban intentionally to leave more Pokemon in the pool to force you into that first pick, right? But instead, they go back for the Hoopa. They snatch. Okay, this is actually a snatch. So Hoopa now in the hands of Vincere. No more crazy map rotation potential, no more reset potential. What is the option? Wouldn't be surprised to see a Blissey, but yeah, immediately snapping up two of their favorites here in the Trevenant and the Mimikyu.
Yep, I mean, these are two great and premium Pokemon, right? Mimikyu, we saw JT have 100% pick rate as well. In the hands, he did really good job doing a lot with the Mimikyu as well. Trevenant being one of the most premium defender Pokemon right here also, but on the side of Vincere, double evolution being locked up immediately.
Ooh.
We're gonna see a earlier, stronger earlier game.
Yeah, my problem is that I'm seeing Mimikyu, Trevenant, and Blissey. We saw the team stats. This is ultimate comfort. Now they're going for the Cramorant here, and in a previous match, we already saw a Cramorant Mimikyu lineup run into some problems. I'm interested to see what Scent picks up in this final Pokemon selection. User is going to go back for the Crustle despite that kind of rough first game, and they go for the Delphox. So very well-rounded draft. This is the classic kind of double defender. You have the reset of the Hoopa to get them out of trouble if needed, but your attackers are just going to be firing from afar, throwing the fire spins out. If you try and come a bit too close, you're going to get Hyper Voice. If you stand a bit too far, you're fire spin. Yeah.
And Sand immediately picks up the Zoroark. Right, that's one Pokemon that we have not seen for a while, or even this is the first appearance of Zoroark for today, the Illusion Pokemon. Lots of potential for just sneaking up from behind, 1-2 slash, and you are KO'd immediately. And if Vincere is not careful of where the positioning of the Zoroark is, that might spell punishment for them.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool that we see a Pokemon like that, because I think that's where the Blissey shines the most, right? If you only have one good Bliss Assistance target, things can get very choreographed for you in the fight. Like, people know exactly where you're going to be, and they're going to stop you. Now, I like this Delphox pick because the healing denial is something we always need to talk about. You're up against a Trevenant, you're up against a Blissey. Trevenant, a lot of self-healing, and Blissey, not just the natural cure, but also all the soft pearls, all the Bliss assistances that she puts out. It's very difficult. And look, there is a decent amount of mobility on the core Pokemon of Aumento. But in a teamfight situation, they're not the tankiest. That's the problem. You have Dive that can get you out of trouble. You have all these dashes from Zoroark. You have the Mimikyu, even with the invincibility frames, right? But if you're stuck in that just kind of same area because of something like Aumento or Rock Tomb
or a Fire Spin, like those are good ways to actually stop this sneaky Pokemon from doing their thing as well.
Yeah. Fortunately for Vincere, this might be their end of the road here. It's up against their sister team, so I can't imagine they'll be too sad, but bitterness on both sides and a bit of heartbreak, for sure.
Yep, definitely, and this is a good startup, right? Getting a little bit more EXP onto the Hoopa as well, trying to get it to level 9 as soon as possible to get those Rings Unbound activated for them to do a little bit more shenanigans. That would be a good way to work it out.
Yeah, and I think it's just become common, right? Especially these range supporters, getting that early red buff just amplifies the harass that you can do. You need all the help that you can get, especially when you're playing top half Crustle.
Yep. I mean, I'm excited to see what kind of Crustle is this going to go for, right? Is it going to be the Rock Tomb build, or is it going to be, what we saw previously as well? And if I want to see a Rock Tomb build coming in from this Crustle as well, to have a little bit more control over their main Pokemon like their Zoroark, or even trapping the Cramorant after it diving away as well.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing, right? Because when you put a Rock Tomb down, and you're up against Pokemon with so many dashes, as we see very brilliantly demonstrated there, it's so difficult to feel good about it. Like, sometimes you feel like you're blocking your own team instead. An early eject button out, oh, the Brixen being chased down. Ryu, very aggressive, has enough damage. Hero play from the Trevor. I mean, even if he goes down here, it's completely fine. Almost turns around for Woodhammer just to break things up too. Very nice stuff from this defender.
Yeah, but 4 men on the bottom side from Vincere. They really want to put those pressure on in the early part of the game, right? They really want to put those dunks in, maybe try to get a little bit of a KO, a few KOs right there as well. But, you know, they're immediately moving straight out to their central area as well with the Zoroark. Aumento is not putting on the break as well.
Oh my goodness, that was disgusting. That's why Zoroark is so scary. Now, we typically see it played a lot in the Taiwan region, but Aumento showing that they can do it to Sent. As we saw in the player stats, he's such a big component of his team's damage. And I mean, he's got to be doing at least 80% of the work so far.
Yep, definitely, right? I mean, he's the main damage dealer right here, right? He's the one who should get the KO for the rest of the team. Yep. But immediately 4 men rotating straight right to the top side for Vincere as well. With the Hooper Express, you know, this quick rotations, they can stack more players on each lane as much as possible.
Yeah, but the numbers advantage doesn't even matter because the Zoroark's in there cleaning them up. It doesn't matter if you bring reinforcements, that's just more KOs for us. Sure, you want to defend? No, that proves to be a big mistake. As the Crustle finally comes through. Where was Yusa in this entire situation? Busy chasing a Blissey. Now Send able to dodge narrowly out of trouble. Beautiful feint attack. It's been acrobatics from this Zoroark so far.
Yeah, I mean, those entry are just clean for him as well. It seems like right here, the Umbreon might be a little bit of trouble, but I think he will be getting out of this scope, freely as well. But Zoroark already at level 9 at this point in time, and he's just gonna be really devastating. As the rest of Vincere have to be careful to know where is he coming from? Is he gonna be flanking us from behind?
Yeah, the problem is they don't really have a Pokemon that can deal with him and catch him as well. You're relying on the foul play. Oh, Gatling Gult Missile standing their ground there. Drench not able to secure it though. They still end up losing. I mean, they lose the objective, sure, they get one Sylveon, but it really doesn't feel good unless you can find more. Pressure's heating up though.
It's definitely okay, right? I mean, they're just putting so much pressure on Mental on the bottom side as well. Zoroark with the Unite move, dashing straight right in.
Yeah, howling to the moon there and claiming quite a few. Ryu might go down. Nice 8-ball. Don't tell me that's enough. The fire spin cleans it up, but the Delta Box disappears. Here comes Trem, ready to help him out. Diving left, right, and center. You can't touch me. Dodging these hyper voices. Play with me. Where are you going again? Beautiful target priority. They are juking them left and right. Send that last softball. The bait attack. It's going to be enough. The fire spin desperately trying to chase, but it's not fast enough. And great play coming up from Su, just standing in the way, being the target and absorbing the fire spin. Sent finds himself right in the hands of a Crustle, and that is a huge KO. They needed that.
They really need to take that Zoroark down, get those Revenge EXP back up as well. But the Zoroark damage has already been done, just putting so much Pokemon back to their Pokemon Center as well. And, you know, right here, Aumento trying to just control Vincere down the bottom side.
They know the Zoroark is going to take a while to come back, and they're trying to push this advantage as much as possible. Fanciful Fireworks on the go zone allows them to capture it, and a nice reset as well fishes them back to safety. Now the question is, do they want to come back here? There isn't really an objective to fight for, so they'll just come through, pick up some points, and opt for the reset. A very good chain of events for Vincere. Yeah,
Vincere able to catch up a little bit more on the EXP level as well, getting those Revenge KO onto Aumento's Pokemon. But, you know, next objective available is definitely going to be the Regieleki on top, right? Is Vincere trying to compete for it as well, but down goes 30 more points towards Vincere.
Very cute play there from Don, going to be able to help themselves get out. But funnily enough, a lot more successful scoring on the Hoopa than the Sableye last game.
Yep.
When, you know, when you consider how it went. But this is what we wanted to see from Vincere, right? Keep in mind, this is a team, the newest in Issen line, that has proven themselves. They went on a crazy lower bracket run in the ACL Opens, even defeating Elevate, and we're starting to see a bit of that caliber come through.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about. This is what we want to see from Vincere, right? And compared to the previous game as well. This is what they're actually made of. And I would love to see this going, and if this goes on, Vincere actually might have a chance. They just have to control Sand, that's it.
It's a shame that we need to say goodbye to one of these teams this early on, but that's the nature of the competition. So far, the Kremlin hasn't really inspired, right? I think even in that bot path fight with the Gatling Gult Missile, it just wasn't enough. Like, they just couldn't work through the targets, and I think that's always been a Crabman problem, and maybe we'll see it develop even as we go later into the game.
Yeah, I mean, Gatling Gun Missile, the Kremlin is just stuck in the center of the whole radius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Easy fireworks, easy hyper voice, easy X is
go straight right to it as well. Hyper voice just trying to shred you down. Everything could remove that Gatling Gun Missile, and they have to be really careful where it's positioned.
Oh, they tried for the Unite move, but a bit too late. Sent able to clean them up. Both the assassins on the side of Aumento, forcing them back. And you got to keep in mind, there was a Koopa Unite move used as well. So a bit of a wasted one. It's not too bad because you still have time to build it up for the final fight, which is why we see all these Unite moves being used. They're trying to pick up some residual KOs here and another pickup for this Zoroark. So even though there was a nice chain of events for Vincere in this lead up, basically even now it feels like, and another KO on the silver, and they find another.
Yeah, this Zoroark is just running around, right? Running around, finding prey, and just hunting for the next target, and just getting KO one after another.
Yeah.
Even though the point difference is maybe about 9-point difference at this point in time, but you know, Vincere, all they have to do is one job and one job only.
Yeah.
Stop that Zoroark from going insane.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, Aumento, everything they're trying to do is set up for Scent to go sicko mode, right? You just want the Mimikyu being a bit of a distraction, Dreamt being that target. Sure, we talked about the Gatling Gun Missile being a huge target that you paint on your own back, but that's fine. If Scent is able to capitalize on the chaos, you're A-okay. Now, final Ray fight, this is what it comes down to. Aumento, they are the OG team. They're one of the first few in the Issen line. They want to show that they can't be bested by their younger brother, but Vincere, they might just have something to say about that.
Is this going to be the last run for Vincere, or is this going to be Aumento's victory moving to the next stage? It's all down to this. Rayquaza is spawned right now. We're into our final stretch as right here, both teams just squaring off.
Koopa still doesn't have the Unite move, and already the Delphox going down. How have they caught that? Catching back a reset, Gatling Gun Missile. It's a perfect setup, but the Rubble Rouser on the front lines, acting as a bodyguard. Look at that play me in the back, taking down the Sylveon low. The Phantom Forest can't save him, and the Umbreon just has to try and run back to the safety of the goal zone, but it is a disaster. Issen Vincere, they weren't ready for the fight, and they weren't ready for Sen. Big Brother is here to play, and you can't touch the TV anymore. You just have to try. Have to desperately beg, find an opening in this raid, but there's no hope. The final Unite move seals the deal, and Vincere looks like it's gonna be their last run after all.
Yeah, Vincere was red from cover to cover at that point in time, getting Gun Missile, zoning them into that one choke point, and the rest of the team just jumps on them with the play with me and a follow-up from Sen, and just closing the game once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen, 189,602, 15 seconds on the clock, but I don't think there's much that Vincere could do.
We talked about Aumento in the past being a team that when the pressure rose, they would falter. But cover to cover, they read the story and they said, ours is not over yet. We want to keep it going. The expectations that we need to fulfill. And what a performance. Issen Aumento, this is exactly what we expect from the third placing team in the PH qualifiers.
Yeah, they missed out on the PH qualifiers, and they are here for that last final chance for Hawaii this year. And this is a really good display of skill right here for Aumento, and he's one of the that actually tells us that they are one of the team to watch out for today.
Absolutely. I mean, all eyes will be on them. I don't know how much time the other competitors are going to get to watch some of these concurrent games, because everything's happening at the same time, right? Any bit of breathing room that you have, you want to take a short break, you want to recollect with your own team, figure out your own strategy, you don't want to get too distracted. But anyone who happens to be watching this match, scary stuff. Scary stuff. I mean, 900 points to 279. I think those final moments, great execution overall.
Definitely.
It's just so difficult. And, you know, we saw Last Hope function with a very similar draft, but they just weren't able to pick up the tempo in the same way that Scent was. Scent went crazy.
Yeah, it's just Scent, right? Yeah, but Vincere, this time around, they managed to put up a good fight this time, right? They have a better composition, they have a better game plan to go against Aumento, and it actually have a really solid, early to mid game. But once Scent was set up, everything just went south for Vincere. And